Tutorial 2. Styling Applications. In this video, we'll look at how we manage the styling of your forms to give your application a more aesthetically pleasing appearance. Right-click on the Contact Stream View at the top of the screen. Select Show Stream View Configuration. The form that opens allows us to control which attributes are shown on the screen and also what data will be displayed in our view. To hide the UID, double-click on it and under the grid settings, select Hidden and save your changes. Now we'll hide the UID from the input form. Select the UID and its configuration form will open. Under the style settings, go down to Hidden, tick the box and save your changes. When selecting components on your dashboard, make sure that you select the outer component and not one of the inner elements. Otherwise, your styles might not apply correctly. Now we will turn our attention to the action buttons and how they are laid out. From the Basic Components palette, drag an area onto the dashboard. The area will appear directly underneath the Delete button. If for any reason you're unable to find it, right-click and say Find in Explorer. Select the area and we will call this Simple Button Holder. Next, we will set the background colour. We can use the picker or one of the pre-formatted colours. Next, we will set the positioning of our area. I will set this 0 pixels from the bottom, set a width of 100% and a height of 45 pixels. When we save our changes, we'll see these get directly applied to the area. The next phase is to add our action buttons to this footer. Right-click on one of the action buttons and select Find in Explorer. Hold the Shift key and select all of the action buttons. Holding the Shift key, drag them into the Simple Button Holder. Next, we'll select our area and we'll sort the layout. Set the direction to Row Wrap, Justify to Flex End, and Align to Center. We'll cover these in more detail in later videos. Save your changes and now we can see the layout has improved. We'll now look at applying styles directly to the buttons. Here, we've selected the Delete contact, setting a border style, a border width, a border colour and a background colour. These will override the default settings. Save these changes and we'll see the Delete button change. PhixFlow also supports CSS, which we'll see later in this video. We'll look at the button style here. Now, this is the default button style that will apply to all buttons in your application. Here we'll set a border colour, a background colour, a border width and a border style. These settings are applied to all the buttons except for the Delete, and that's because it has its own specific style that's been applied, which overrides the default style. The buttons don't look particularly great, so we'll look at applying a style that is more suitable. First, we'll need to clear out the style that we applied directly to the Delete button. It's going to be a good idea to differentiate the Delete button from the Add and Update, as it will be removing content. Let's look at applying a CSS property. The CSS tag determines which element of the CSS we will be editing. Here it will be background colour, and note the American spelling of colour. The colour that we'll use will be the hexadecimal colour that we selected earlier. However, if you're not sure of the hexadecimal colour, you can use one of the colour pickers to choose this. Open up one of the styles, and where we have a colour picker, select a colour that you like, copy the code, but don't save that particular style. And now we can use that code to set our colour. Finally, we'll set this as a particular state of mouse over, so that when we move our mouse over, we'll get the grey colour appear. We need to close and reopen the dashboard to see the style get applied. Now when we move our mouse over the delete button, we can see that the grey area appears. Now that looks better, so let's look at applying that to all of our buttons. We'll open the default button style, clear out the styles that we added earlier, and then we'll drag across our CSS property. This will apply the grey mouse over to all buttons. To improve the look further, I think it would look nice if we added some padding between the buttons. Use the CSS property padding-right, and we'll use 5 pixels. Save all your changes and all of our styling will be applied, so that now when we move our mouse over the buttons, we get the grey hover. We still need to differentiate the delete button. Select the delete button and we'll go back to the CSS property that we applied earlier. We'll change it from grey to red. Save our change, and this specific style will now override the default style, so that when we move our mouse over it, it'll be highlighted in red. Now we need to set the order on the buttons. Select a button and set its order. Add should be 3, update should be 2, and delete will be 1. And this will set the ordering from left to right. Close and reopen the dashboard and we'll see that our ordering has been applied as well as our styles. Let's recap how the styles are applied. So we can see here the styles cascade down from the default style, which is overwritten by any shared styles, which is then overwritten by any inline styles. Within the styles themselves, it's the last style that is applied which will be seen on screen.